Hello and welcome to our next CrowdProperty.com funding opportunity. Today we're going to 1349 to 1351 Stratford Road in Solihull, B94EF, and this is the Phase 2 raise. Now, CrowdProperty is a peer-to-peer lending platform designed to facilitate loans between private individuals and professional property businesses. CrowdProperty is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under permission number 723959. CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. There are risks with any loans you make, and just like all peer-to-peer lending, your capital is at risk. CrowdProperty endeavours to protect all lenders. This is done by registering the legal first charge against the property project. This means that in the very unlikely event a borrower defaults on the loan, CrowdProperty will be able to take ownership of the project and manage it for the lenders. Now, the borrower on this project is 5 Homes Shirley Limited. Their company registration number 12171612. They incorporated in August 2019, and there's one director who's Melinda Mel Kang, and we call him Mel. Welcome along, Mel. Tell us a little bit more about you and your background.
I've been in property for 16 years. I have done two small developments, and this is my first large development. I have a real passion for property. It's been in the family for probably over 30 years. Really excited with this site as we've just got underway about 2 weeks ago.
Now, you're choosing to use some local contractors. Tell us why you've taken up Hallam Reed Construction Limited as your project team.
We went through a real vetting process with 3 contractors. It was the personal approach. I think Hallam Reed they're established contractor. They've done anything from one large 10,000 square foot type house to 250 odd apartments. We hit it off really well with their board. Andy Hallam is the main guy. Really took the time and effort to work with us and bring our project to life in 12 months' time.
Well, let's look at this project, and it's a development loan facility of £1.6 million. That's towards the demolition of the existing semi-detached dwelling and then to build 7 3-bedroom houses. This is phase 2 of a planned 4-phase raise, and the term is about 17 months left, paying lenders 8% per annum. The total loan term is 18 months. This phase will contribute towards the work schedule, which will include brickwork to the joist level, beam and block flooring, joists, wall plate and trusses. But let's start off first, please, Mel. Tell us a little bit more about the local town of Shirley.
Shirley is the neighbouring town with Solihull, a very old town, very affluent town, great links to the motorway, schools, golf courses. It's a very sought after area for developers. Land costs generally quite high, as are the unit costs for the houses that we build. The site is very close to a new care home, which was a former Shirley Aquatic site. And we are seeing a lot of the big developers encroaching in the area too, which is always a good sign.
Planning permission was granted by Solihull Borough Council. Their planning reference is PL/2020/01032/PPFL. That was granted in August 2020, where permission was granted for the proposed demolition of an existing semi-detached dwelling and to build those 7 3-bedroom houses. The development site is about 15,000 square feet in its entirety. The loan is to facilitate the building of those 7 3-bedroom properties adjacent to that operational care home that Mel has just talked about. The loan will contribute towards the works to complete the building of those 7 units. The project is first charge secured already, no second charges, and the exit strategy is to sell the 7 units on completion of the works. Here's a location plan for you. You can see on the left-hand side the CrowdProperty flag pointing to the site. You can see where that is in relation to Birmingham itself. It's actually in Shirley, just close there to junction 4 of the M42 motorway. On the right-hand side, you can see a little bit more of a closer detail as to where the property is on that main road going into Birmingham. The property on the Stratford Road, it's the southeast of Solihull, and it's mainly a semi-rural setting, predominantly mixed residential, and there's some commercial use there as well, with property amenities within walking distance. Very close by to Birmingham Airport and the local NEC. Start off, please, Mel. Tell us, how did you find this project?
Interesting story. I was in the summer of 2019. I was flying out to see my sister in Australia. Jumping in the taxi, I drove past the site. I've always had my eye on this site for a number of years, whilst it was an operational aquatic centre. The day I was going past it, the for sale auction signs were going up. I knew the agent local to me in Shirley. As soon as I got to the airport, I made the call with the agent. I put a really strong offer in. It was almost accepted, but the vendor wanted it to go to an auction, and I actually ended up buying the site while I sat the other side of the world in Australia, and bought it in September 2019.
So here is the site. There are 7 properties on there, 3 at the front and 4 to the rear of the site, as you can see there on the site plan. Let's start off, please, Mel. Talk us through exactly what you're looking to build here. There's 2 different house types. This is house type A.
House type A are the slightly larger units, almost up to 1,200 square foot. They are 2.5 story. We have gone for a real contemporary townhouse mused look, something akin to you find in London. Rendered front. The opening to obviously the ground floor would be a very central hallway with a small toilet. We've gone for a very flashy designer kitchens with a local contractor, SKG. We then have an open plan living room with bifolds coming out to a very detailed landscaped garden. Each unit is identical, and there's no sort of cost savings anywhere. We want each of our buyers to have an experience where each house basically is just dependent on location, sun, etc., not because there's a drop in any quality whatsoever.
And then when we move on to the second house type, how are these different?
The units at the rear are slightly smaller. They follow a very similar flow plan to the ground floor, first floor. We've used the same kitchen designer. The slight difference here with these units is in an enclosed gated area, so just to give it a more of a private feel, which helps that they compromise slightly in size, but they're set back away from the main road in an enclosed gated entrance.
And here is an artist's impression of how those 4 properties are going to look. And I'm guessing that's the care home on the other side, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah. The care home, fully occupational. Nice to speak to the residents over the fence. They're really welcoming the site because there's been a bit of an eyesore. And I think that it'll be a welcome addition to for the residents to be next door to a newly established care home.
Now, you've started working on site. Talk us through where you're up to.
Right, we started just before Christmas with the site excavation. We had a slight blip with the contractor. His digger on the day it's turned up, the hydraulics went. But then we had obviously Christmas, and we thought we'd just pick it up in the new year. Happy to report everything's fine. We had the full demolition completed as of Friday last week. We are just going through the rubble, the excavation and the removal of debris. Whilst others might think that lockdown's been a bit of a pain, it's actually fantastic for the construction industry because it's actually freed up a lot more time. Roads are less busy, and we're probably slightly a week ahead of schedule.
Now, just to be clear, the photo on the right-hand side is the artist's impression of how it will look when it's finished. It doesn't quite look in that state yet. In fact, here are some photos of the site. Talk us through what we're looking at.
Okay, so we're looking at the entrance to the site from the main Stratford road. You'll have to ignore the hoardings and the cabins. That's of the contractors. We'll have more detailed drawings and CGIs coming onto the hoarding after the dirty work has been completed. That's our 13.5-ton digger, just having demolished all of the existing semi-detached properties. We'll have that site probably clear with all those bricks probably in the next 7 days. There is the care home to the right-hand side, the new care home. And what there are the next stage will be the trees. The tree surgeon's coming this Wednesday to remove partially some of the dead trees, but we obviously retaining the rear boundary conifers as added screening, and obviously to give a more of a residential feel to the site.
Who do you think will be typical buyers of this site?
We believe that our buyers are going to be those young families, young professionals who are trying to break into the Solihull market. Solihull, as I mentioned earlier, is an affluent area, very expensive. But this is on the cusp between the Shirley-Solihull boundary. So we're expecting most of our buyers to be the young families, the young professionals who live nearby or want to work in Stratford, Henley, because it's very close to the motorway link, rather than probably downsizers.
And what do you expect the selling prices to be on average?
I have spoken to 3 local agents. It's warming and confident to hear that they all state to me anywhere between 420,000 per unit up to 450,000, depending on the final finish. Higher than we expected.
There's some case studies that I'd like to talk through as well with you, please, Mel. This is another project that you did in Solihull. Talk us through what you did here.
Okay, so this was a former police constable's house. It didn't look like this. It was only half the size of the property. We saw a great opportunity to buy the land effectively. It's in a well-to-do area. It's akin with where all the footballers of Aston Villa and Birmingham live. We did a full demolition and renovation. If you look at the front left and the middle section, that's actually the original retaining brick built in 1940s. The right-hand side column is actually us blending in the newer version of the brick to retain that sort of old traditional feel. Otherwise, it's complete self-build, completely renovated internally. It's a 6-bed detached property with a bespoke cinema room, with an open kitchen for approximately 4,000 square foot.
Then the second case study on the screen is a project in Coventry. What did you do there?
Coventry, slightly different, the other end of the market, which is where I probably started off originally in my property experience. It was a student property which we converted into a HMO. Some people think it's pretty mad going into a HMO, but had the confidence. We knew the spec and the regulations to comply with. It's a great way to generate money and supplement your income. It's something that I'm keeping for my pension pot. I can safely say that within having it for over 8.5 years, I can't recall there ever being a void period. It's rented out 12 months of the year.
Let's return back then to this project you're doing in Shirley near Solihull. This is the second phase raise of 4, where we're looking in total to raise £1.6 million. This raise is for £500,000. And the interest are going to be rolled up and paid at the exit. Rick's verified the current market value at the start of the project to be £965,000. They also verified the GDV to be £2.78 million. The initial gross day one drawdown was £525,000. Therefore, the initial loan to value 54.4%. When you exclude the interest based on the gross development value, it becomes 57.6%. When you include the interest, 62.3%. This second phase raise is for approximately 70 months. The total maximum loan period from the start of the project is 18 months. Remember, the exit strategy is to sell the properties on completion of the works, and lenders are going to get 8% per annum. It's already got first charge security secured against the property title. So your next steps then are to make sure, please, that you understand the loan, carry out your own due diligence, and then decide how much you would like to lend. CrowdProperty.com is the place to be to pledge on launch. The necessary anti-money laundering checks will be carried out, and then you'll be invited to send your funds to your own online e-wallet, and you'll start earning interest on completion of the loan agreement. So this is the second phase at 1349 to 1351 Stratford Road, Solihull, B90 4EF. Thank you for watching this CrowdProperty.com funding opportunity. We look forward to you joining us again soon back here for more funding opportunities at CrowdProperty.com.